They didn't see your worth when they had you, and now they're crawling back full of regret. But let's get one thing straight. You are not their backup plan. There comes a moment in life when the very people who walked away betrayed you or made you feel small suddenly realize what they've lost. And in that moment, they remember everything: the loyalty you gave without limits, the support you showed without hesitation, the love you offered without condition. But now that they feel the void, that's their burden, not your invitation. You are not the cushion they land on when life gets hard. You're the one who rises stronger, wiser, and no longer available to those who couldn't honor you the first time. If you've ever struggled with letting go of someone who only saw your value too late, drop a 9 in the comments and let me know. I'll share exactly how to reclaim your peace and protect your power. And don't forget to subscribe, because your comeback story deserves a front row seat. Your self-esteem might take a hit when you're the target of abuse, neglect, or injustice. However, it is more important than ever before that you acknowledge your worth. When someone you care about leaves you, it's natural to feel helpless and wonder what went wrong. But the reality is that their treatment of you is indicative of who they are rather than who you are. Nobody but you can decide how much you are worth. We will not budge on this. This isn't something you can argue over, and it has nothing to do with how other people see you. Knowing your value allows you to establish expectations regarding how others should handle you. Love, loyalty, and respect are not only tokens of appreciation, they are privileges bestowed upon you. Furthermore, the right to own such items is forfeited when they are disrespected. No one is flawless, and some will attempt to persuade you of that. While it might be accurate, recognizing your value necessitates realizing that there is a boundary that must not be passed. There will be no turning back if they accomplish it. Your worth is inherent. Whether or not people recognize it, it is there. It's not something you manufacture. Rather, it's something you cultivate inside yourself, via your trials and tribulations, your triumphs, and the love you bestow upon yourself. The realization of what they had is what causes someone to feel remorse at losing you. Still, it doesn't imply they deserve a second opportunity. Too often we fail to recognize the value of what we have until it is gone. They assume you'll be there for them no matter what. So they take your generosity, devotion, and hard work for granted. They only begin to realize their loss when you take a step back and rediscover your value. Out of nowhere, they rush back, gushing with remorse, apologizing profusely, and promising to make amends. But this is the time when you must recognize your value. Shame is not the same as admiration. They haven't learned to appreciate you just because they miss you. Many times being selfish is the root cause of regret. Their hearts ache at the loss of the solace, stability, affection, and encouragement you offered. However, you need never to ask for such things. Furthermore, no one has ever appreciated you if they can't see your worth until they've done something to you that hurts. They fail to appreciate the advantages of your presence. That isn't affection. It is practicality. Giving someone a second opportunity, just because it's convenient, is not a good enough excuse. When you know your value, you may refuse to give them back. It has nothing to do with being heartless or merciless. It's all about safeguarding your vitality, serenity, and emotions. Returning the favor to someone who didn't value you initially demonstrates a willingness to put up with abuse. When you compromise on your standards, you make room for their flaws, and you're betraying yourself. If you do that, maintaining your integrity requires you to hold yourself to a higher standard regardless of how much remorse someone may feel for their acts. Also, let it be known that those that value you highly will not need a second opportunity to prove themselves. They will know your worth, regardless of whether they lose you or not. Right from the start, they'll be respectful to you. The way you love and support others, as well as how you hold yourself, will show people how valuable you are, and they will respect that. The ones who will always have your back and never let you doubt your worth are the ones you should cherish. Letting go of those who failed to recognize your value when they had the opportunity is the most selfless thing you can do for them and yourself. It serves as a lesson in responsibility for them. Someone needs to teach them that there are repercussions to their acts, and losing you is one of them. This is about protecting yourself for you. It's about being uncompromising in your demands and never accepting anything less than what you really deserve. Having people in your life that appreciate you for who you are shouldn't be a problem. Individuals that encourage you, stand by your side, and give you the dignity that you deserve. And when that person returns after failing to do so, you need to keep in mind that your value is unaffected by their newfound remorse. It is not your concern that they are sorry. It is not your responsibility to set things right or to provide them another opportunity. Your value is immutable. It's something you should always have with you, and it should be the deciding factor in who you let back into your life, among other things. You should keep moving ahead, keep improving, and keep your peace. They should bear the weight of their remorse. Not you. There is no need for affirmation when you realize your own value. There are few things as devastating as losing a loved one or feeling abandoned. As a result, you may find yourself deeply confused about your life's purpose, your value, and even your own decisions. What seems like the conclusion, however, is usually really the beginning of a much bigger picture. Despite its unpleasantness, loss is often the impetus for development. It challenges you to think deeply, to put yourself back together, and to improve yourself. In the end, you can't just focus on the things you've lost when someone you care about quits or betrays you. You also need to consider the chances that have presented themselves for personal growth. The ability to adapt and grow in the face of adversity is a price you must pay. It's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel when you're feeling down and out, but know that there is a germ of change in every obstacle, every betrayal, every moment of neglect or abandonment. If someone is sad about parting ways with you, it's usually because they didn't think you'd blossom independently of them. They were afraid you would remain unchanged and devastated after they left. What they failed to see is that setbacks often serve as the catalyst for personal growth. Feeling the burden of such loss is normal. Everything seems overwhelming: the agony, the uncertainty, and the self-doubt. Yet, as time passes, a change occurs. You start to understand that their absence has made room for you to concentrate on yourself, room to learn new things, room to improve your attitude, and room to pursue dreams that you may have neglected while you were preoccupied with someone else. This is the place where change starts, at those times when you're alone yourself and have to face your identity and your aspirations. Feeling abandoned or abused may frequently cause one to evaluate their own actions. You begin to assess your relationships, your life decisions, and most significantly, your self-perception. While this introspection may not be pleasant, it is essential. Embracing discomfort is the surest way to never grow. And one of the hardest things to deal with in life is loss. You find yourself confronted with challenging inquiries. Without them, who am I? For what reasons am I here on earth? How can I sustain this bond or friendship by attending to the parts of myself that I have been ignoring? Insight into the answers to these questions is the first step in making changes. Embracing loss and moving on is like embarking on a voyage of self-discovery. You begin to see your own strengths that you may not have recognized previously as you overcome the suffering. More than you ever imagined, you've discovered your own potential. You learn to put your own needs first and create time for the things that bring you genuine joy by establishing limits. And when you do that, you open the door to greater possibilities, people and life in general. You attract people who really care about you and circumstances that support your objectives when you learn to hold yourself to higher standards and prioritize your peace of mind. When someone expresses sadness about parting ways with you, it's usually because they've seen your personal development since they departed. They can see you didn't give in. To the contrary, you thrived, and they were completely unprepared for it. They worried that you would be lonely without them, but you found that their departure has made way for something much better. In the sake of loving oneself, respecting oneself, and empowering oneself, you have transformed the suffering they inflicted into strength. Their departure has served as a springboard for your own ascent to fame. Gaining wisdom from adversity does not imply erasing or ignoring the hurt that was experienced. You get knowledge from it. In the end, it is the lessons you learn from your hardships that make you a better, smarter, and more resilient person. You figure out how much you can take and how much you can't. The people you can trust and the ones you can't are revealed. You learn to have faith in yourself, which is the most crucial thing. You realize that you can overcome any obstacle in your way. When you overcome adversity, you create a strong feeling of self-reliance. You learn to value yourself and your pleasure independently of other people. All the things you'll ever need are already inside of you. You know, also, once you get there, nobody can take it from you. Those that abandoned you or failed to see your worth eventually fade from your mind. About that point, you will have moved on, even if they feel remorse about leaving you. Compared to when they first met you, you've changed for the better. Their once comfortable role in your life is now inadequate since you've grown into a different person. Healing after a loss isn't a picnic, but it's up there with the most fulfilling experiences of your life. Resilience, independence, and the capacity to change are some of the lessons you'll learn. Through it all, you emerge more resilient, self-assured, and knowledgeable about your worth and identity. That being said, don't take it personally when someone says they're sorry they lost you. You should see this as proof that you've matured beyond their influence. What they can't take away from you is the progress you've achieved via using the loss as fuel. Do not stop learning and developing. You will never be satisfied with mediocrity. Apologies and regrets are simple pretexts for those who have harmed you to bring up at a later date. They might claim they've grown up, realized how valuable you are, and are worthy of a second opportunity. However, you must realize that your acts do have repercussions. Someone has to take responsibility for their actions if they have harmed you, abused your trust, or treated you poorly. Taking responsibility for one's actions is a life lesson, as well as a moral imperative. If you don't hold them to account, they'll act the same way, not just against you, but towards everyone. No one ever considers the repercussions of their actions when they harm you, assuming you would be there for them, no matter what their actions may stem from: insecurity, lack of empathy, or selfishness. Sometimes people think that if they just say sorry and are kind, everything will go back to normal. Someone needs to get it when they treat you disrespectfully. The moment their remarks get permanently etched into your mind, you know they've crossed the line. The truth is, they have hurt you and can't meddle in your life like they used to, and they need to deal with it. Here is when taking responsibility becomes really vital. Someone should experience the full force of your pain when they cause you to lose you due to their actions. It's more about making sure people realize the consequences of their actions rather than seeking retribution. They won't change until someone makes them. They'll keep acting badly toward others, apologizing just partially, and believing that no one will hold it against them. You shouldn't function that way, and it isn't how life works either. Nobody benefits when you let someone off the hook for their mistakes. In addition to leaving you with unresolved anguish, it merely sets them up to harm you again. To be held fully accountable, they must acknowledge the whole effect of their actions. They must realize the mental, emotional, and sometimes even bodily toll their acts have had on you. It is insufficient for them to just express regret. They must realize that confidence once shattered is very difficult to restore, and in many instances cannot be restored at all. Repentant people usually care more about how they made themselves feel than they do about the harm they did to you when they re-enter your life after injuring you. While they haven't given much thought to the harm they've caused, they miss the positive aspects of your presence in their lives, such as your love, support, and company. Accountability does not exist in such form. Under the appearance of regret, that is egocentricity, refraining from harboring animosity or wrath is not the same as holding someone responsible. Refusing to forgive is not the same thing. While forgiving someone allows you to let go of pent-up emotions, it does not imply that you must forget. Giving someone a second chance won't imply you can ignore their negative impact on your life. Although it takes time and effort, trust and access may be regained after someone has wronged you. Furthermore, there are instances when the most effective method of holding someone accountable is to distance yourself entirely and allow them to live with the regret of losing a meaningful connection due to their behavior. Remember that responsibility is mutually beneficial. Also, you need to make sure you're keeping yourself accountable. To begin, you must inquire, what am I ready to settle for? Could you tell me my criteria? How clear are my limits, and am I prepared to stick to them no matter the cost? It might be enticing to give someone another opportunity when they return with heartfelt apologies and extravagant gestures, as if they regret losing you. True responsibility, on the other hand, is not giving in to feelings of guilt or nostalgia and maintaining solid limits. You need to have the self-respect to tell yourself no. You've already made a decision. Now, you have to deal with the fallout. Someone may learn a lot about responsibility and self-control when you make them pay for what they do. They will learn from your example that they cannot treat others badly and yet get a warm reception. By doing this, you are showing that trust, loyalty, and respect are not frivolous concepts. Consistent deeds, not empty rhetoric, earn them. Holding people to account sets an example not just for them, but also for how you should conduct yourself. In doing so, you declare that you will not accept anything less than what is rightfully yours. When someone important to us passes away, it's common for us to feel a pang of sorrow. Unfortunately, remorse isn't a sufficient reason to mend fences. The next step after feeling regret is to take responsibility for one's actions. It distinguishes real regret from fleeting shame. Someone who feels genuine remorse for their actions will take their time accepting the penalties. It will take time and regular work to re-establish trust, if that is even possible. They will realize that, and since kids realize their acts have consequences, they will respect your limits. Your honesty and dignity will be protected when you insist that others live up to their responsibilities. Protecting yourself against more injury is an example of self-care. To put it another way, I expect that other people appreciate me Because I respect myself so much. Being held accountable helps individuals develop by making them face the consequences of their actions. However, you should not let their development compromise your own health and happiness. After someone has insulted or wounded you, the hardest thing to tell them is that they can't always have what they want. To make them feel better about losing you, just let them feel the weight of their shame. Their actions have repercussions, and you can't do anything about them. Let this be a reminder of that. Holding others accountable is allowing them to make errors so that you may improve, change, and advance in your own life. Someone might easily return after losing you and make amends by saying they will change. They'll attempt to persuade you that things will be different this time by saying nice things and showing you a vision of a brighter future. Words by themselves, however, fall short. Someone has to do more than only apologize if they really want to be in your life again. They must demonstrate their transformation by consistently acting in a positive way. It takes more than feeling bad about one's actions for a person to make a change and grow as a person. The way someone acts reveals more about their intentions than what they say. It's simple for individuals to claim remorse, take stock of their actions, and promise they won't do it again when you wrong them. But words alone won't make up for a lack of action. It's like putting a bandage on a sore that has to heal from the inside out. Someone who knows the pain they've caused will do more than just claim they've changed when they really understand. Their actions will reveal everything. They will try to fix themselves, apologize for their mistakes, and earn your confidence again. No one feels guilty when they make a change. It's all about consistently trying to change your behavior. In an effort to regain what they have lost, people may make hollow promises. If you look closely enough, you'll see that nothing has changed, even though they'll tell you what you want to hear. A recurrence of the actions that led to the harm could be in their future. Now is the time to remain on guard and not let yourself be influenced by words alone. Pay attention to their actions as well as their words. Do they intend to repair what went wrong? Is their presence regular, or are they attempting to appease for the time being? In order to bring about real change, consistency is crucial. What shows if someone has learnt from their errors is how they behave over time. A few weeks or months of competence is insufficient. Making lasting changes calls for perseverance, self-awareness, and discipline. If someone is serious about improving themselves, it will show in all parts of their lives, not just their interactions with you. Their behavior, outlook, and resilience in the face of adversity will reveal how much they have matured. Keep in mind that just because someone feels remorse doesn't guarantee they deserve another opportunity. While it's normal to feel sad after suffering a loss, it doesn't imply that the individual has grown up or will never repeat the same errors. Even while people feel bad about parting with something important, it doesn't imply they're good stewards. They still haven't figured out how to improve simply because they're embarrassed by their actions. Making a change takes time, consistent work, and energy. Becoming a more responsible person, cultivating a stronger capacity for empathy, and establishing new behaviors are all part of it. Because of this, deeds are much more important than words. If someone says they've changed, you shouldn't take their word for it. It is for you to safeguard yourself. Keep an eye on their conduct and verify if their deeds are in line with their words. Is confidence being restored by the measures they're taking? Is there a change in the way they used to support you? Does their effort remain constant, even in the face of inconvenience or difficulty? Asking yourself these questions can help you determine whether they deserve another opportunity in your life. Another crucial point is that occasionally, no matter how much effort individuals put in, they just can't seem to transform. Even if they have good intentions, they don't have the self-control or insight to really improve. On the other hand, they can be mired in habits that they haven't yet broken. When someone is unable to give you what you deserve, no amount of remorse or apology can help. You shouldn't sit around and hope that other people mature. Your time is valuable. Surround yourself with individuals who treat you with respect and worth all the time, not only when they're sorry. Gaining someone's trust requires doing something, not just saying you'll do it because you feel bad about it. Consistent work, honesty, and dependability are the cornerstones of trust. It is the responsibility of the person who betrayed your confidence to make amends, not by words, but by deeds. Their actions speak volumes about their level of accountability, their ability to reflect on and improve upon past errors, and their dedication to moving forward. Their remorse is for nothing if they aren't prepared to make that sacrifice. Having people in your life who really respect you, rather than only saying it is something you truly deserve. Maintaining a consistent level of respect and loyalty toward you is essential, and not just when it suits the other person. Words may be deceiving when an offender reappears in your life after an injury, but actions speak louder than words. Have they changed their approach from before? Do you think they're trying to fix the problems they created? On the other hand, are they only trying to win you back by expressing what they believe you will hear? It is your duty to safeguard yourself and to verify that the individuals you let into your life are worthy of that privilege. The real signs of change are deeds, so pay attention to them. The remarks of someone should never cause you to doubt yourself or reduce your expectations. A person's real intentions will always be shown by their actions. Plus, it's hard to tell whether someone has learnt the lesson until they demonstrate it by their actions. Put your faith on deeds rather than words, and you will never be confused about reality. When you're emotionally invested and still care about the person who injured you, letting go of them may be really difficult. But you must know that sometimes it's worse to cling to someone who treated you poorly, violated your faith, or caused you suffering than to let go. Having those around who have shown their ability to do you harm is like to clinging to a hot fire. At some point, it will sting you once again. Getting rid of them is more than simply severing connections. It's about putting your own needs first, standing firm in your limits, and avoiding harm. Your first reaction when someone has wronged you may be to want to make things right, to cling on, or to think that everything can return to normal. Perhaps you've caught yourself defending their actions or telling yourself that things will improve if you give them another opportunity. However, giving up control is often the best option for your well-being. Keeping a grudge against someone who has harmed you badly or repeatedly will do nothing except make your pain worse and stop you from moving on. If you keep believing things would improve, but they never do, you'll end up hurting again and again. There is no need to be harsh or cruel in order to let go. It's about realizing that some relationships are detrimental to your mental and emotional well-being regardless of the amount of history or emotion involved. A person's behavior reveals a lot about their character. Plus, it's clear they don't belong in your life if they've repeatedly shown a lack of regard for your emotions, time, and trust. Embracing the happy times you shared and letting them go are two very different things. When you value yourself enough to leave an unhealthy relationship, it's because you've realized that being there would only bring you more harm than good. The consequences of clinging to a hurtful person could be more severe than you think. It might make you doubt your value and erode your self-esteem. Maybe you'll convince yourself that you're deserving of the hurt, or that this is the extent of your relationship's potential. As a result, you start to tolerate conduct that is lesser quality than what you really deserve, and the cycle continues. Emotional weariness, worry, and sadness are possible outcomes of this over time. You will lose sight of your worth and the limits you formerly placed on how others should treat you the longer you cling on. Loving oneself entails letting go. Putting one's own pleasure, health, and tranquility first is key. It's about realizing that life doesn't have to be this way, and that you have the right to move away from hurtful relationships, regardless of how much the other person may regret their actions. Nobody has changed or promised they won't harm you again, just because they feel sorrow for their actions. Letting go does not entail harboring resentment. It's about facing reality head-on and deciding to shield your emotions and thoughts from more damage. The emotional connection is the most difficult aspect of letting go. You could have developed feelings for this somebody, spent quality time with them, and perhaps plan to spend the rest of your lives with them. Leaving all of that behind is painful, and it's normal to feel sad about the opportunities missed. The cost of remaining in a relationship with an unloving partner, however, is even higher. Your capacity to develop and attract the connections you deserve, as well as your feeling of calm and self-respect, are all ruined. Healing, personal development, and the introduction of new, better connections may all flourish when you release what no longer serves you. Additionally, letting go does not imply that you no longer care for or want harm on the individual. That you are putting yourself first is all it really implies. Compassion, well wishes, and the desire that they develop personally are still valid responses. It is possible to do all of that remotely. However, to demonstrate your kindness and forgiveness, you are not need to retain their presence in your life. When you give yourself room to recover and move on from a hurtful relationship, you are more likely to forgive the offender. To make room for another person's growth, you must let go. People will never learn to be trustworthy, loyal, or respectful if they are never made to change, or if they are never made to face the repercussions of their behavior. When you release someone, you give them a chance to think about their actions, realize how much they've lost, and ideally learn from their mistakes. In order to help someone who has wronged you, it is sometimes necessary to make them suffer the consequences of their actions and teach them that they should not take others for granted. The agony won't go away just because you let go. Being patient and giving it time is essential, since it is a process. When the past comes rushing back, you may find yourself wondering whether you made the correct decision. Over time, however, you'll come to see that releasing was the wisest choice you could have made for your own well-being. You'll notice a marked improvement in your mood, sense of calm, and ability to direct your own life. You'll start to realize that you're strong, valuable, and capable of moving on from the past without letting it hold you back. You regain control of your life when you let go of a hurtful person. It's about choosing to be the protagonist of your own story and realizing that you deserve more than regret and hollow assurances. Having people in your life who will appreciate you for who you are and give you the respect and attention you deserve is all about making room for them. Choosing to let go is not an option. That's not an indication that you're weak. Your unwavering determination to live a life characterized by reverence, tranquility, and joy is very inspiring. After someone you care about leaves you, they may return begging for a second chance. They will extol the virtues of personal growth, provide wisdom from experience, and guarantee that this time around, things will be handled differently. Now, I'll tell you the truth. If you give them another opportunity, you can end up right back where you started hurting them again. The relationship terminated for a reason. People never change without genuine effort and time, despite how tempting it is to think that being away has changed them. Reconnecting with an offender only leads to more heartbreak. A fundamental flaw in one or both parties' perspective on the relationship is usually at the root of relationships that terminate in emotional damage, betrayal, or contempt. Fundamental issues such as incompetence, disrespect, or a lack of trust do not magically disappear. If someone returns to your life anticipating a return to normalcy without resolving these underlying problems, they are probably just bringing you further suffering. If you haven't seen genuine, sustained improvement, those who claim to have changed are just trying to persuade you to forget about the things that wounded you. There are other risks associated with giving someone a second opportunity, besides the possibility of more damage. Furthermore, it stops you from improving your personal life. You can't recover and find your soulmate if you're always preoccupied with fixing failed relationships. You can't break free of the emotional shackles of hurt and frustration by dwelling on the past with an offender. It prevents you from experiencing the contentment, happiness, and satisfaction that accompany letting go and welcoming fresh chances in relationships and life. It's human nature to want stability, to cling to known territory, and to have faith in the transformative power of other people. Giving someone a second opportunity often leads to more of the same. However, you may feel like you're always on high alert, wondering whether they're being truthful or if they'll harm you again. Holding on to negative emotions like this is unhealthy. Your capacity to trust again, feel safe, and have peace of mind are all shattered. Living in constant fear that the person you've let back into your life may betray you again is an unnecessary misery for anybody. Rebuilding trust, once it has been damaged, is no easy feat. Real transformation requires persistence, perseverance, and time. However, it's not uncommon for someone to return to your life not because they've made a conscious effort to change, but just because they long for the familiarity of your company. They aren't the same without you, and the stability you offered, as well as the affection you offered. However, they often prioritize their personal wants above your best interests when they return. They may claim they're sorry and that they've learned their lesson all they want, but until they change their conduct for the better, they'll harm you again. Remember that not everyone who feels sorry for you gets a second opportunity. That is one of the most crucial things. No one has the right to re-involve themselves in your life just because they come to appreciate you after you've passed away. They should be the ones to deal with their remorse, not you. You should be able to defend yourself from violence, and no one should be given a second opportunity just because they say they've changed. Attempting to console another person for their shortcomings should not take precedence over your own health, tranquility, and contentment. Also keep in mind that you may be healing and growing yourself, instead of wasting time attempting to mend a broken relationship. By giving a second opportunity to someone who has wronged you, you impede your own healing process. You find yourself mired in doubt, unable to shake the feeling that things will be different this time. At the same time, you lose out on chances to move on, find better connections, and concentrate on yourself more than you could when attempting to repair a broken relationship. Opting not to return someone's favor brings about a sense of liberation. Separation from hurtful things is a statement that you respect yourself enough to make that choice. You're acknowledging that the value of your own pleasure and contentment outweighs the security of clinging to the past. You may free yourself from the anguish of the past and open yourself up to new opportunities, experiences, and relationships when you decide not to give someone another opportunity. Instead of caring about the feelings of regret of another person, you've decided to focus on yourself and your health. People who have harmed you in the past are likely to do it again, particularly if they haven't changed their ways. Reuniting with them will only serve to encourage their destructive behavior and the impression that they may return to your life at will. They learn that they can always rely on your forgiveness and forgetfulness, so there's no need for them to put in the effort to change. However, you should not be treated in such a manner since your life and heart are too important. By deciding not to provide someone another opportunity, you are preserving your emotional well-being and establishing boundaries. It's about realizing that you should put your efforts into relationships with people who really care about you, rather than with those who will only appreciate you after they've hurt you. The key is realizing that you are worthy of relationships that do the opposite, that raise you up, encourage you, and respect you, rather than connections that bring you down and make you doubt your value. Not taking someone back is a choice you make for yourself. It's a choice to build a life full of love, joy, and serenity. Walking away from someone who has harmed you is a brave thing to do, regardless of whether they feel remorse for their actions. To be strong, you must recognize your own value and refuse to settle for a partner who will only appreciate you after they've hurt you. Someone who has betrayed your trust deserves more than another opportunity at your trust. You should be with someone that appreciates and values you for who you are, without having to learn these things the hard way. You may choose the life you really deserve by refusing to give another person a second opportunity. Ultimately, you shouldn't let back into your life just anybody who feels guilt for abandoning you. Once trust is lost, it's hard to fix, and second opportunities usually result in more pain. Putting your mental health, sense of self-worth, and emotional stability at danger with someone who has shown they can hurt you is not worth it. Reclaiming your authority, setting clear boundaries, and opening yourself up to new opportunities that fit with the respect, care, and love you deserve are all achieved via choosing to walk away. Put yourself first, and keep in mind that releasing control is an expression of strength, not weakness. Allow him to feel guilty while you confidently go forward, knowing that you are deserving of more.